Hey there friends, welcome to the P.XO Homestead, and in this week's video I will be showing you my beautiful 2 Nigerian dwarf goats, and we're also doing some work in the kitchen, and I will be showing you our homestead happenings. So this week I decided to stock up on some English muffins, bagels, and bread because I don't buy that at the store anymore. I haven't for a while because I just like to save money by just doing it by myself. So these are sourdough bagels and English muffins, and then this is sourdough bread. I have a recipe on my blog, thepeacockhomestead.com, and I'm not putting my bread in a Dutch oven because it's easier just to put them in my glass bread pans. I've also did some work on the side of the shed. I've been trying to kind of clear the side of the yard where the goats were going to go, so I had to replant all of my irises, so I put those there. I also have a peony and a couple of hostas. Then I have more irises down at the end. Then I have this other little plant, I forgot the name of it, but I think it's called a Johnny plant or something. It grows these cute little flowers. And then I had to fix my little flamingo. I definitely need new lawn decorations, but that's not on my top of my priorities. So I'm just using my little cute ornaments, what I have now. But I've been kind of eyeballing my radishes, and they're doing so good. So I decided that I was going to harvest some, and we're going to have it in some salads and just snacking raw. But they look pretty good. They're kind of, some of them are really bigger than others, and I should have weeded them out, but I couldn't get myself to take out the babies, so I just let them all kind of clump up together. That's why some are small and some are really big, but they look pretty good. So we tried them and they're super delicious. They're really tender, and when they get bigger they get really hot, so I wanted to get a few of them. I think I'll be harvesting a lot of my radishes next week, so I'll put that in the next week's video. I've been out here all weekend weeding the gardens. I did the back first. It took me a long time, and then I did the front. I gave the chickens the top to my radishes and they didn't really seem to like them, so I just wanted to see if they would, and they're like, what is that? They're used to having their lettuce, which is a little less spicy, because chickens, they don't like spicy things. So I guess the greens are pretty spicy. But we're gonna have these in our salad tonight, and I'm probably gonna end up pickling some. I've never have done that before, so look for that in next week's video to see if I actually get to pickling those radishes. I have the bread in the oven, so I gotta go check that, and they're all done. So I just took the temperature really quick, and they're 200 degrees, so they're fully cooked. And I like my bread tall, so that's why I put my sourdough loaves in there. And it's actually pretty tasty. The hubs is picky, so he said it tastes good, so that's a relief. And it doesn't have that sour sourdough taste like the loaves that you get at Aldi's or Price Chopper. It actually has a nice mild sourdough flavor. Now I'm going to get going on making my homemade yogurt. I'm just going to make 2 quarts because I'm just making this for a culture for my cheese. I could use either whey from another cheese, or I can use whey from yogurt. I can use clabber culture, or I can use my regular Greek yogurt. But I decided to make homemade yogurt because it was a vanilla yogurt and that's all I had, so I wanted to make it a little less of a vanilla flavor to make it for a culture for my cheese. So I'm just kind of taking the temp, it's 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'm going to let this cool to 120, and then we're going to add the yogurt. See how it says Greek vanilla bean? I'm kind of lowering the flavor down to a less vanilla-y flavor. I'll be using this yogurt in my manchego style cheese that I'll be making today. I needed a thermophilic culture, and I just decided to make my own yogurt because we needed some yogurt, and I was just experimenting with making cheese with cultures that I didn't have to order online. I do have cultures in my freezer, but I'm trying to see if I can make cultures that are readily available to me, like just making it myself and whatnot. So this will be a really good experiment. But this is the heating pad that I have. It's for plants, so it only goes up to 100-ish degrees. And then what I do is I put some hot water in this Lowe's bucket, and then I put the yogurt in it in a little bowl, and I let that kind of marinate for 4 to 6 hours, and the yogurt turns out beautifully. So I'm just showing you how hot the water gets. It gets pretty hot to 140 degrees, but I let it cool down to 120. And then I put my bowl of homemade yogurt in there, which is not homemade yogurt yet. It's just milk that's been cultured with the yogurt culture. And this is what it looks like after 6 hours. It's nice and thick, and it looks just the way I want it. And I'm just going to put it in this little strainer. I got this strainer from the cheese making company. I've also seen this little strainer on Amazon as well. See the whey on the bottom? This is such a neat little contraption. I love this thing. We also use the whey to cook pancakes in the morning and to put in milkshakes and whatnot. It is a super good probiotic. So this is what it looks like after it's all strained out. It is super thick, and I'm just going to put it in this jar and pop it in the fridge. And I'm only going to use about a cup of my homemade yogurt to my cheese. So it's 2 gallons of milk, and I go by a gallon of milk and then a half a cup of your starter if you're using Clabber or whey or yogurt. We've also made a delicious dessert. I had put some of my blueberry jam in with the yogurt and kind of stirred it up, and it is so delicious. But that's what that looks like. It's super nice thick yogurt, and it's ready to have its many uses. Today's cheese that I'm going to be making is called a manchego style cheese. So I have my thermophilic culture right here, and then I have my calcium chloride, my animal rennet, I got some measuring cups, and then I have a mesophilic culture. So this takes a few cultures, but I just wanted to make my own just to save money. And then I'm using this medium size cheese mold. I got my cheese press, some cheesecloth, and then I'm getting the recipe out of Home Cheese Making, and super excited about this. So I've had some manchego at Aldi's, and it is amazing, but the thing is that it is made of sheep's milk, and I do not have sheep's milk. I have cow's milk, and it is really processed highly, so I'll probably have to let this cheese sit for a while for it to actually develop some flavors. So the recipe is 2 gallons of milk, and then right here I'm just adding a half a teaspoon of calcium chloride to a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. And all the calcium chloride does is just help the rennet kind of coagulate the milk, because raw milk, you wouldn't really need to add that much calcium chloride or any at all of that. So for the thermophilic culture, I'm using my homemade yogurt, and I'm actually adding a half a cup. So I'm just adding 2/4 right now. And I'm gonna put a little bit of the milk in with it and then make it nice and smooth. But first I'm going to add the calcium chloride and then my thermophilic culture. And then I'm going to add my little packet of mesophilic culture. And after the mesophilic, thermophilic, and the calcium chloride is in, I'm going to give it a nice stir. And I'm going to let it sit for 45 minutes. And and then we'll come back and add the rennet. Okay, now it's time to add the rennet, and I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of that to a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. And then I'm going to stir it for about 30 seconds really well, and I'm going to wait 45 minutes for everything to get nice and coagulated together, and then we're going to see if we have a clean break. All right, let's see if we have a clean break. Looks pretty good. So now we can cut the curds here, and then I'm going to take a whisk and actually kind of bring it through the curds slowly just to make even shapes. My curds are at a temperature of 86 degrees, and I'm going to be bringing it up in the next 45 minutes in that length of time to 102 degrees. So it's going to go up very slowly, and I'm going to stir this slowly within the next 45 minutes, and at the end of the 45 minutes it should be 102 degrees Fahrenheit, because you don't want to overcook it too fast. You just want to cook it nice and slow so they're nice and boingy and they come together when you give it the squeeze test, and they kind of crumble off of your fingers. All right, now it's time to pour off the whey. So I'm actually going to save the whey and make a little ricotta. It was my second time making it, and I don't think I did it right, but I got just enough to make a little egg casserole, so I'm super excited about that. I made like a little breakfast casserole, and I put the ricotta on top. It's super delicious, so I can't wait to show you guys that. So I'm just gonna put the curds. You see what they look like? They are so awesome. They kind of matted at the bottom, but that's okay. I'm gonna kind of crumble them in, and I didn't add any salt because I'm gonna be putting this in a brine for 20 hours. So I'm gonna get that pressing. I'm gonna probably press it at a really light weight. I'll probably press it for 15 pounds of pressure for 15 minutes, and then I'll go for a half an hour or 45 minutes, and then I'll do a final press overnight where it has the most pressure. So that would be around 50 to 60 pounds of pressure for the last press. And then it will go in the brine. This is the second flip. It's knitting together pretty well. So I'm gonna flip this over, and then I'm gonna put it in the press overnight for about 50 to 60 pounds of pressure. And that'll be for like 8 to 9 hours. So this week I decided I was gonna make a tea, a sun tea, and I'm gonna be using some of my mint from my garden. And then I have some dried hibiscus. And then I have this little tea basket. I got this from Mountain Rose Herbs, and I don't remember how much it costs, but it's definitely worth it. I can steep all of this tea and make a huge pitcher, and it's already starting to turn a pretty pink color, but when it's all done, it turns really red. And I'll just add a little bit of honey for a sweetener because I'm trying not to use so much sugar. I use enough of it in my coffee. Those were my nasturtiums. They're doing okay. And then we'll let this sit in the sun for a couple hours and we'll come back and have some delicious tea. All right, this is the next morning. So I'm going to take this out and we'll see how well it knit together. And it looks like it knitted really good, so I'm happy with that. And I made a saturated brine. It has calcium chloride, water, and it also has a little bit of vinegar, white distilled vinegar, and a lot of canning salt. And after this is brined, you let it air dry, and I put a picnic saver over it so the little buggies can't get to it. I'm going to let it dry for 2 to 3 days, and then I'm going to vacuum pack it up and put it in the cheese cave to age. And I'm going to wait 2 to 3 months before I try this. And I'll be curious to see what it tastes like with the yogurt culture that I had made. That's what's so fun about cheese making. Once you start learning how to make cheese, you can try new things, try new cultures, and then just have fun with it and do your own thing. I am going to be taking the whey that I got from my manchego-style cheese, and I'm going to try to make some ricotta. So I'm just heating this up to 180 degrees, and then I'm going to add some white distilled vinegar to it. I just kind of pour it in. I didn't really measure it out. So I'm going to let it boil, and then all the ricotta should come to the top. I don't think I let this one boil long enough because I didn't get that much. But I got enough to make a nice little dinner for us. So I'm going to take this ricotta, let it cool, and then chill in the fridge. It'll harden up, and then we'll top our breakfast casserole with it. For dinner tonight, I'm going to make a breakfast casserole, and I have some eggs here I washed, some onions, and I'm using some of the canned potatoes that I canned from last year. I also have some garbanzo beans that I canned, and I have collard greens. So I mixed that all up with some salt and pepper and topped it with ricotta cheese, and I baked it in the oven at 350 degrees for a good 45 to 50 minutes. I just made sure it wasn't jiggly on top, and this is what it looks like. Piping hot, but it's super delicious, and I put ketchup on mine. I know that's probably a sin for some people, but I like to put ketchup on my eggs, so I figure put it on my breakfast casserole, and it was so yummy. So it's been a little bit. My cheese is nice and dry, and I'm gonna vacuum pack it up. And I'm going to label it and put it in my cheese cave. I got back outside and I picked the rest of the dandelions in the yard and just a little bit of mint because I'm going to make a tea blend and put it in a jar to store away for the summer. So it'll be a dandy mint blend. So it's going to be super delicious. So I'm just going to dehydrate this and stock it away for summer teas. And this is the day we brought Miss Tiana and Luna home. Aren't they so beautiful? Our beautiful Nigerian dwarf goats. They were born April 16th of this year. And Tiana is the little buckskin and Luna is the chocolate with the blue eyes. They are so lovable. They let me hold them and snuggle them. And then they get the zoomies and run around. But they love their little house so much. They go in there and sleep, and they have their little minerals in there, and I have a little water bucket outside and inside for them. But they are loving it. They're not scared of the dogs. Jack just barks at them, and he's getting used to them, but I think they're so cute. They're a perfect addition to our homestead, and we all love them so much already. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was so nice to see you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video, friends.